we just go call to order, right? Or is it call to order? 4:41, yeah. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Present. Present. Here.
Present. Commissioner Gallegos.
Present. Approval of agenda?
Need a motion.
Motion? Motion to approve agenda? Need a second?
Second.
Commissioner Caballero.
Aye.
Commissioner Granados.
Aye.
Chairman Avila.
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Aye.
And Commissioner Gallegos.
Aye. At this time, the commission may announce any items being pulled from the agenda or continue to another date or request moving of an item on the agenda.
Commissioner, there are no changes to the agenda.
What was that again?
There are no changes to the agenda.
So we don't need to approve nothing like that, right?
We do need to approve the agenda as presented, unless you would like to pull an item or make changes to it.
So I just need a motion? Oh,
And
no.
you just approved.
Oh, we just approved it, right?
that.
Okay,
Next
sorry.
one is approval of the minutes.
The approval of the minutes.
Oh, first, the motion.
A second.
Commissioner Caballero.
Aye.
Commissioner Granados.
Aye.
Chairman Avila.
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Aye.
And Commissioner Gallegos.
Aye. We'll do presentations.
Thank you, Commissioner Avila and Commissioners. I'm sorry I'm joining remotely this afternoon. I am actually at a conference in Sacramento today. So I still wanted to make sure we were able to have our meeting, so I am zooming in. Jason, can you help me out by starting the PowerPoint for item for the meeting? And once it's up, I'll get started. Is it visible? Next slide, please. Commissioners, this item was really to give you an update with regards to both Hurricane Hillary and then the monsoonal storm that we had in the Coachella Valley within the last 30 days that we had in late August and again the weekend of September 1st. So we did have some significant damages in our parks, most predominantly at Las Flores. But I wanted to give you the same summary that was provided to the council, and so you guys are aware of what we're working towards. We have been able to make some of these improvements already. We did reopen Las Flores Park this weekend with the Grito kicking the park opening off. But you could see here in the pictures, there was significant flooding resulting in erosion damages and replacement of hardscape at the park. We also lost a lot of the playground. It had to be regraded, compacted, and mulch had to be replaced. The replacement of that mulch has since occurred. We have been able to repair the hardscape at Las Flores and the erosion damages at Las Flores. Still working on the tree and the irrigation impacts. You see there that the erosion and hardscape replacement at all parks is estimated at $300,000. We've done the majority of that already. Primarily being at Las Flores, and we believe that that will probably come in a bit lower than that. The irrigation due to downed trees was estimated at 300,000. A significant component of that is at Las Flores, and that is ongoing, and council last week approved that repair work. The mulch replacement was identified at $8,000, and that's already been done at Las Flores. And shade structure replacements is estimated damages incurred for that at Shady Lane, at Dateland Park, at Las Flores Park, and at Bagduma. And those replacements are in progress. We did replace the ones at Las Flores already, but they do cost about $8,000 each, and we have quite a number of them impacted. So we will be working slowly towards that number and the replacements thereof. Jason, if we could go to the next slide, please. This is just to give an update with regards to the number of trees we lost. This is combined along the parkways, along the sidewalk areas, and along our roads, as well as parks and LMDs. We estimated it at 300,000, and the removal and replacement costs at 200,000. We lost a significant number of trees at Las Flores. And if we could go to the next slide. You'll see here at the very, the picture on the left, where it shows all the trees down. So everything on the north side of the park, really we lost almost all of those trees. So that resulted in a significant amount of the irrigation needing to be fully replaced. And we're working on that. That is what I mentioned earlier, that the council approved 150,000, 100,000 of that really kind of going to the irrigation being redone on both the north and the south side as a result of a lot of the trees basically pulling out the irrigation system that was existing there. And with that, I also wanted to mention that the storm did also put us back in the reopening of the soccer fields. We had estimated to be able to open those up this week. And we've spoken with both soccer leagues, advising them that due to the storms impacting both parks, we are opening them on September 29th, which is a week, it's next Friday. And they've been cooperating with us on that reopening. We wanted to make sure that we were able to reopen in a good condition. So that concludes my presentation on this item, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the commissioner may have on this item.
I have a quick question. You mentioned 150,000. So is it, and then I see here 175,000 in your the PowerPoint. So are those two different numbers?
The 175,000 is for the shade structures, if you're looking at, if that's what you're referring to.
I'm looking at the one, so not that 175, it's the other page where you have Rancho Las Flores Park reopening date September 17.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's an error, 150.
Okay,
My apologies.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I have another question. I've noticed, I've been here since 2000, and I notice always those trees that keep falling. Maybe we should probably stay away from those because they keep falling every year. We notice it by my street. They have fallen down. At the parks, and those are like the main trees that we always seen they always pretty much fell, and it's costing a lot of money due to the fact of, damaging the irrigation system as well too. Maybe looking into a different type of tree or anything else that will work better. Just because I noticed those, as soon as they get old, they don't hold as well either. Because the ones off of 50th by CVS between Frederick and Van Buren, most of them have been removed. And then today in my neighborhood, I noticed they removed almost all of them because they were all damaging as well too. And I noticed it's the same style of tree.
You're correct, Commissioner Avila. It is the Palo Verdes that we're seeing the most to not withstand the high winds when we get them. So we are moving to different types of trees in different areas. For example, at the park, we did want to continue with the type of plant material that's still there. We have a lot of Tipuana trees, so we will be looking to incorporate those in lieu of the Palo Verdes. So it still stays consistent with the look as it was originally designed. We may probably look to add a jacaranda speckled through there to provide some color. It does have a purple flower to it. So we were still trying to keep with the original look of the park as it was designed, but removing that palo verde tree that is really, as you pointed out, and we have also noticed, is not holding well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a follow-up. So you said the council has approved $150,000.
They approved yes.
Go ahead.
They did approve $150,000 for the repairs at Las Flores Park towards the irrigation repairs and the erosion.
And to fund the rest of the damages, are we looking for funding or how are we coming up with those funds?
So it will most likely be a general fund for most of it. We're evaluating what areas are the most need and then prioritizing those. Some of these areas that were identified are also the landscape district areas that are retention basins. And based on funding per district, we will be able to make those repairs and then need to assess how we will fund the differences that some may not have funds to do so.
Understood. Thank you.
I actually do have another question since we're on the damaging. I noticed that a lot of these new parks that were built around like properties, especially I seen one like where I live, they get flooded really bad every time it rains. And they get damaged a lot. So I'm pretty sure the cost is significant on those just because they have kind of like a walk around little area with benches. And once the rain comes in, they're just destroyed. I don't know if you guys seen the one off of Rancho La Mariposa has one of those in the corner, and it's an eyesore because a lot of people go through that street, and maybe I don't know, maybe when the new properties are getting built or anything like that, maybe trying to figure out better the drainage system. I mean, in my property, I did spend quite some money to build a really good drainage system just because of the way the slope I have on my property, and because of that, I didn't have any flood inside my property compared to my neighbors who were having water inside. So I think, I'm pretty sure you guys think of this, or whoever, bids it, thinks of it. I think they should be more, a little bit more thoughtful into seeing how they could manage it better, maybe even some type of pump to help out, especially during, we rarely get any rain, but we've been getting hit at least once a year and it gets pretty bad, especially a lot in those parks, even as well, the one off of 49 and Frederick too, that corner one, that's all grass, that one's really bad. The ones inside of Fiesta Homes, because my mother lives there, so I kind of frequently through there a lot. So I'm noticing a lot of those parks because they're all kind of in a hole and they all get damaged. And I'm pretty sure it costs the city money and a lot of money probably to get them back up as well.
This is the first year that we've seen this significant damage. In prior years, we hadn't seen the damages that we're seeing this year. And really what it amounts to is that we got two very big storms back to back, right?
Yeah.
Those areas are not parks, they are retention basins, and that is storm system. They do have the amenities like the walking trails and those other amenities so we wanted to make them more usable spaces year round, but the primary function of those places are to retain water. So some of that does result in some erosion. Really the impact this year though is that we had the amount of water we get in a whole year in each of those storms. So it's just the amount, it's beyond really what on a regular storm would be anticipated. But we also will take your comments to note and see what we can do as we move into new developments and improving that.
Yeah, because maybe as well that's the design you guys have where like Rancho Mariposa, it looks really nice. But as soon as we rain and then it goes, it takes a long time to dry, and then when it dries, it looks nice again. I see people walk around it, but it takes months to get, maybe a different design will actually help. I know you guys are trying to make it look nicer and all that, but maybe something different, just so like that, like I said, when we get that once a year rain, and it happens every time that I bought that property in 2010, and it happens every year, and it's just that little section. So when it's already nice, I want to take my dog to a walk, I'm like, yeah, I can't do it because it's pretty much trash the whole time. But maybe a different design might work. But like I said, I'll leave that up to you guys as well to just a comment.
Thank you. We can look at doing something that's more focused at simply the retention component.
Thank you. Anyone else have questions? Now we're moving to new business calendar.
Thank you. Jason, can you share the presentation if the commission is ready for item number 3?
Adopt a park. Yeah, it's that one.
So this item came before us in that we received a couple of requests, primarily interested in the street adoption program. And we had looked at doing a park adoption program some time ago internally as staff, just to provide the accessibility for those maybe families or community groups that want to give back to the community. These are programs that allow for that mechanism and really promote volunteerism and ownership of community spaces, right? So many cities have these. In looking just casually through a lot of the local cities, we didn't find one locally that has one, but there are many cities in our county that have one. So we did do quite a bit of research from different cities throughout California. We mirrored both programs with some of that feedback. The eligible participants would really be pretty broad. It could be civic groups, nonprofit groups, families, schools, service clubs, organizations, and volunteers from both commercial and private groups. The participant commitment would be a 2-year period, and the commitment would really be to do at least a cleanup of either the park or the street that they would like to adopt on a quarterly basis. And there would be a program waiver for any liability to the city, and also an application that would need to be completed, as well as a very brief report that would affirm and attest to their quarterly commitment that was completed. So when they did a cleanup, then they would submit a report affirming that they did that cleanup. The Adopt a Street activities, I know that this is a park commission, but we really wanted to present both items to you guys, just as a fact of that the idea from staff would be to roll both out simultaneously so that both are available to the public at the same time. The Adopt a Street segment would be focused on removal of trash, debris, and weeds along both sides of the adopted street, and the adopted street segment would be 1 mile. The park activities would include raking leaves, spreading mulch, removing weeds, reporting graffiti, cleaning playgrounds, removing litter and gum, and tree plantings. And the parks that could be adopted would be any city park that's not already adopted at the time that the application is submitted. And then the city would provide those that adopt either the street or the park areas, the things that they would need in order to do their quarterly commitment, such as trash bags, safety vests, litter, pick sticks, and gloves. And then in recognition of the volunteer efforts that would be completed, we would install an Adopt a Street sign or Adopt a Park sign at the appropriate location. That for the street, it would be on each end of the segment that they adopted. And for the park, it would be at the park that they adopted. And at the end of their 2-year commitment period, they would be receiving those signs in appreciation and recognition of that, as well as a certificate of participation from the city, and t-shirts that would mirror something to the effect that, that they did participate in the Adopt the Park or Adopt the Street program. And with that, that does conclude kind of the overview on staff's end, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission may have.
I'll start off. I have a question. Does this impact our current sports organizations and how they use the parks currently?
No, it wouldn't impact their use at all.
Great. So the way I understand this is like, the eligible participants, would be able to either adopt a park or adopt a street. And, those participants would, kind of like community service, go out to that area and, pick up, clean up. Is there like some kind of checklist that they would have to meet in order for them to get this recognition at the end of it?
All they would need to do is turn in that short report that we mentioned, attesting to the quarterly cleanups being done every 3 months, essentially for the 2-year period.
Okay, so 2 years, okay.
I have a question. Is there any cost to the city?
Really nominal, so there's no real fiscal impact. We would just be providing that equipment that we mentioned, bags, gloves, safety vests, pickup sticks, and the pickup sticks would be returned to us after they did their quarterly cleanup. And then we would issue them again when they were doing their next one. So very nominal cost.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you mentioned that there was an application, is that correct?
Yes, there would be an
Yeah.
application and a waiver that they would have to complete.
Okay. And is there requirements or anything that would disqualify a group or a team that wanted to be part of this?
Not really. This is really to promote volunteerism.
Right,
So there really would be very minor requirements. It's really more of an application to affirm what the name of the group that is representing and some basic information.
yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick idea. I don't know how this might look, but how we're being commissioners, maybe how there might be different parks, and getting us involved as well into each park, maybe send one of us, and we're already doing this to the community. We're doing this because as volunteers, I think doing that will actually maybe try to get more people to get more involved, seeing that actually the council's actually working as well too with them. Like to say if there's one park, send one of us there. I mean, if we can, that's just an option as well to have, just to be part of that group while they're doing the cleaning.
Sure, we can let you know as soon as we get an application, and when we get those, we can make those known to you guys, and we can keep you posted as to if they advise us when they're going to do a cleanup, and if you wanted to participate with the group that adopted either the street or the park.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions?
No more questions.
On this item, being that it is an agenda item, we would be looking for a recommendation for moving the item forward. Or if there isn't one, then we would be looking for direction on that as well.
I motion for it to move forward.
I second.
Delia, can you do a roll call?
Sure. Commissioner Caballero,
Aye.
Commissioner Granados,
Aye.
Chairman Avila,
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez,
Aye.
and Commissioner Gallegos.
Hi.
Thank you, commissioners. The next item, if it's okay for me to proceed to item number 4.
Yes.
Jason, can you start me back up on the PowerPoint? Thank you. We were approached by a vendor that sells the tech ball table. So this item comes before you. We've had some conversation with that vendor, and the vendor's name is Tech Ball USA LLC, and they sell Tech Ball Tech 1 tables. And they are trying to promote the tech ball sport. It is a sport that is played by singles, so 2 or doubles being 4 players. And it is played on that platform, the table that you see to the right. And it is both an indoor and outdoor table. They are providing these to organizations and agencies for free. And we do not have any at our parks. Looked into it. Soccer is a very popular sport here, and our biggest sports park is Bagduma. So to test out and see if there is interest from the community to utilize this function, we are suggesting placement of 2. They did, the vendor has approved that they would give us 2 for free. We would have to do the installation. Usually these tables run at about 3,500 each. And the placement that staff is recommending is at Bagduma Park, near Avenue 51. You could see the two red squares near the volleyball courts. There is a space there that we feel will accommodate the play area for each of those two tables. And it would be really a tester to see if the community responds well to this, if this is a need, and then we could look at expanding these possibly at other locations. And with that really, and I'm sorry, the impact, the fiscal impact would really be nominal again here, be about 2,500. And that would just be for the installation. As I mentioned, the tables would be donated by the vendor. And that does conclude my presentation on this item, and I'm happy to answer questions as the commission may have.
So tech ball is pretty much like ping pong with just with a soccer ball, right?
Yes,
Eh,
very
And I
accurate.
think that's a great location. I'm saying it because I'm there pretty much once, twice a week because my kids do practice there. And except right now, because I think they're still closed, right? Because they send us
No.
to another park right now.
We're
uh,
opening on the 29th, the
yeah.
soccer.
So, and I think that's a great location because you got a lot of people going and showing up, to the parks now, especially during practice season or soccer season, which is now practicing. So there's been times there's maybe 100, 200 people playing soccer, practicing. There's sometimes less. And I think that's just another way to develop their skills. And maybe I never seen this before. I think I probably might have seen it once online or something like that. But I mean, I think it takes a lot of skills. So, I mean, whoever's able to play this is definitely going to be good. So, but it's great just to, new sports coming up and especially with dealing with soccer. So that's always great. So.
I have a question. Did the vendor mention any other parks that this has been installed in? And, how the community, is it being utilized?
So we did look at a couple other agencies off the top. I'm sorry, I don't remember some of the cities that have installed it, but it has been installed in other parks. They are trying to really promote this sport. They want to make it an Olympic sport. So that is the reason why they are giving the tables away for free.
Okay. And how do we know how, as far as liability, right? It's above the ground, we're not concerned about anybody getting hurt, right? I mean,
The table is made of an aluminum steel that has no edging to it. So I don't think that would be a concern.
okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions?
No more questions.
Question. All right, so do we move now to public comments?
Um,
Oh, sorry.
Vote on that, yeah.
Oh, sorry. All right. For recommend for approval? I'll motion.
I'll second.
Commissioner Caballero,
Aye.
Commissioner Granados,
Aye.
Chairman Avila,
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez,
Aye.
and Commissioner Gallegos.
Aye.
Thank you.
Now we move to public comments.
Ok, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Manuel Montaño. Soy el presidente de CBSL, de Coachella Valley Soccer League. Estoy otra vez aquí con ustedes para pedir otra vez el apoyo de ustedes para cuando se empiece el año del campo número 4 del Bagduma. Nosotros contamos con 3 canchas de lo que es en Rancho Las Flores. Hemos crecido, la liga ha seguido creciendo. Entonces es muy chico el espacio que tenemos para que juegue 1,500 personas ahí. Entonces, ahora que Marixa y Ben nos ha dado la oportunidad de estar rotándonos ahora en el Bagduma y con la 53, hemos mirado que hemos tenido más margen de la oportunidad para que jueguen los niños. Y ese es el apoyo que quiero que ustedes consideren. Nosotros necesitamos una cancha más. Tenemos 3 canchas nomás. Entonces, no sé si se han dado una vuelta a Rancho de las Flores, cómo es el espacio que tenemos todos pintados en el campo 1 para que los niños estén pegados en el baño. Es un pintadero que jueguen los niños de la U5, U6, U8, U10, U12, jueguen los adultos, las mamás de los niños, los veteranos, todo eso. Y en verdad, quiero agradecer lo que están encargados ustedes del parque y todo, lo han tenido muy buenas condiciones. Y también nosotros hemos tratado de llevar a los jugadores a las 53. Pues el gasto es de nosotros, lo que es mantenimiento, agua y todo, lo corremos nosotros, lo que es la liga. ¿Entiendes? Pero es el apoyo que yo les pido a ustedes. Cuando gusten, ahora se me hace que el 29, ¿no? Friday, nos regresan otra vez los campos, Rancho de las Flores. Los invito, en verdad. Vayan a dar una vuelta. Los invito a todos ustedes al inicio del torneo para que miren cómo trabajamos nosotros y para que miren también a los padres, quieran hacerles preguntas a ustedes también. No somos una liga de traer padres aquí o algo. Yo soy la voz de ellos. Ella es mi esposa, ella es la administradora también de la liga. Entonces, queremos el apoyo de esas más. Es una sola cancha, no estamos pidiendo más. No estamos pidiendo más, nomás estamos pidiendo la oportunidad de una sola cancha para el nuevo siglo. Yo sé que, como dice Marisa, dice, el lomo vivo hay que moverlo, hay que cambiarlo, todo eso, pero pues, yo sé, no, es la única oportunidad que pedimos. Es todo.
Gracias.
Gracias.
And any more public comments?
I have a question for Mr. Montoya. ¿A qué horas empieza el 29 los torneos?
El 29 nos entregan el campo
Ajá,
y empezaríamos hasta el martes.
hasta el martes.
Hasta el martes, porque hay que ir a figurar los campos,
Ujú.
pintarlos. Podemos quedarle en el micrófono para que disculpe. Nos lo entregan el día 29,
Ujú,
viernes,
ujú.
y luego ya el martes empiezan los primeros juegos de infantiles.
¿A qué horas?
Empiezan a las 7 de la tarde.
De la tarde. Gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Are we able to speak on where we stand on his request? Understood.
Do we move forward to reports or? Yeah, reports and requests. And commissioner comments?
Yeah, so where do we stand on the request of the gentleman? For the additional field?
I can provide you a response on that item, if you would like during my comments.
Yes, that'd be great. Yeah, because I understood, just, because it's my time, I understood that we did have a plan on rotating the organizations, but that was gonna take some time. So I just want to get some clarification on where do we stand? Any other comments?
I'm trying to remember right now, top of my head, CISA has how many fields? I think it's.
They
It's
have
the two.
access to field 1, 2, 5, and 6, and 3 and 4 during parts of the year. 1 and 2 do not have lighting. So I can provide, I can refresh the commission. We had this item agendized before and we discussed this. And I can give you a brief summary on that. I just want to be cautious that this item is not agendized, so we cannot have a whole lot of conversation on it, but I can definitely rebrief the commission during my comments.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to remember. I'd been there a couple times, but I still kind of
So I
stick to one field.
what I do remember from that was it was gonna take about, because I remember asking questions about it and having trying to think of a different idea. And I remember that it was gonna take about 1.5 years to 2 years in order for them to have that field. So they would have to wait and do the rotation because of those two fields. So CISA has access technically to two, even though they have those two, but it's poor lighting. But those two other fields, they are also sharing them, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, with other sports, like minor, like little ones and all other sports teams. So I remember that vaguely. And so technically it would take about 1.5 to 2 years before we can even readdress it to really see if we can give them another field. So in the meantime, they'd have to wait and still be with the 3 fields that they have. So they'd have to be waiting. And that's if we get to do everything that that plan has, correct me if I'm wrong. If we don't get to meet that deadline, then it's going to be extended until that funding comes through and it gets taken care of. So potentially it could be more than 1.5 to 2 years for them to have access to another field. Yes. I remember now.
Very well explained.
I remember now. Because I tried thinking of a plan and I couldn't, there was nothing that I could come up with that would be equitable for everyone. I remember thinking about that, yes. That's all on my side.
I do have another comment. I think they're the ones that have the live soccer, right? Yeah, because I'd seen it on Facebook, that which is pretty cool that you're able to see now live soccer, through Facebook. I think I got to see some of the finals. Which it was with, I think those were on field 6. No. 3 and 4. Okay, yeah. I was trying to realize. I remember seeing it on I know those. I was like, I know those fields. That's great, that they have actually that they have that, going on, because we can't always make out to all the games or stuff like that. And just being able to see that there's a lot of competition going on. That's pretty great. I wish actually both leagues will actually do that. That'd be pretty nice for the public and as well, for everyone else in general. And then my other question I have, the soccer fields in Mecca, those belong to the county, right? That will be with trying to remember who the ones in Mecca, the soccer field.
I think they might be Desert Recreation.
That's Desert
District.
Recreation, right? Okay, so pretty much it'll be to I'll ask them the question then. And that's it for me. Any other questions? And then director's comment?
Thank you, Chair Avila. With regards to the comment, the topic that was brought up with regards to Field 4, we did have a conversation on this matter. I want to say it was April, I think it was earlier part of this year. And we do have committed funds to basically upgrade Field 1 and 2 at Bagduma with full lighting. So the direction that was that we discussed at that meeting was that we would bring that back when that lighting is fully functional, so that we are equally dividing apples to apples with fully lighted fields. And then basically make it equitable for both of the participating leagues at our parks. And that ETA is right now about a year. Commissioner Hernandez was right on about year and a half. I just text the city engineer to see if he could get me a more updated timeline, but he has not yet responded. So I will email the commission that information or provide it at our next meeting with regards to the timeline of that project, but it is funded. It's not that we're waiting for funds. That has been appropriated.
A question, since it has been appropriated, does that mean that if for whatever reason an agenda item comes through or something happens, that funding can be removed for
No, it's
something
committed.
else if needed? It's committed. Okay, just making sure.
So other than that, the only other item I wanted to just mention was our next event is on October 21st, and it is the Tacos, Tequilas, and Chavelas Festival that we have at Veterans Park. And we'll send out information to all of our commissioners on that event as well. If you guys are able to participate, we will be sending you information for you to be able to join us at that event.
I do have a question. Would there be any reason for going back to the soccer item, would there be any reason that it would be pushed back from the 1 to 1.5 years?
That will only be if there is some unforeseen delay. I don't anticipate that that would be really likely because it is an existing site. There is power there, so really it's speccing out the equipment, ordering the equipment. If there, the only delay as I'm saying this is maybe the equipment. I don't know what the turnaround on that is. So that would, those are questions I need to get additional information from my colleague.
And if we start seeing, for example, like what you said, the unforeseen delays, let's say they do start taking place because machinery isn't available or whatever we need to order is not available, and they're giving us an estimated timeline, let's say of 6 months to a year. We can change this then at that time. If those come back to play, we need to readdress it and let's change it. And let's, if the commission decides, let's give that park, since we've been waiting for so long and it's now going to be pushed back some more, we can address that again, correct?
You can, and I think that what the commission asked is that I bring it back in about a year and a half, and then you guys would reevaluate it at that point.
Is everyone okay with the year and a half wait time? Or are we okay on deciding, did we already vote on that, number one? And if we haven't, I mean, I would like to know if, once you get more information from whatever is needed, if we get a timeline, like they're available, there's not going to be any unforeseen delays in the equipment or whatever is needed. But if you do get an update where it's stated, you know, it's going to take 6 months for whatever reason, because there are materials right now that aren't available for 2 to 3 months right now. So if that were the case, I think, speaking my opinion, that we should be aware of that, because then that does affect the timeline that we have here.
Well, definitely bring you an updated timeline at the next meeting, and the commission can always ask us to bring this item back. That's never in stone. The last time we discussed it, the commission identified to bring it back once we were closer to construction of that project.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. And that's all of my comments. Thank you, Chair Avila.
And then just adjourn the meeting, right? Adjourn the meeting at 5:23.